What's going on YouTube? Mr. Wheels here once again, welcoming you to another edition of Sports Talk. This is part 2 of my 2015-2016 NHL Season Preview, looking at the Metropolitan Division tonight. And instead of going with the New York Rangers first, who won the division last year, I'm going to look at the Pittsburgh Penguins first, because a lot of people are starting to overhype them with the acquisition of Phil Kessel. And I want to address that first. But before I do that, I'd ask you to, as always, guys, please give this video a like and please subscribe to my channel. My social media links will be in the description down below. And let's get started. Pittsburgh, they were 43, 27, and 12 last season. Good enough for third in the division. And they lost in the first round of the playoffs. Now, like I said, they did acquire Phil Kessel, and everybody knows that. He's a good player. He will do very well in Pittsburgh, playing with Evgeny Malkin, it looks like. Sidney Crosby will probably continue to play with Chris Kunitz and Patrick Hornquist. But I think that everyone's getting really excited about Pittsburgh, and it's a little premature because the rest of the division, as you will see in this video, got better as well. So yes, the Pittsburgh Penguins will be better. They also added Nick Bonino, Adam Clendening, Eric Fehr, Sergei Plotnikov, Tim Ekstrom, and Tyler Briggs, Steve Oleski, and Matt Cullen. Now, a lot of those guys are going to be just depth players. It remains to be seen what a guy like Sergei Plotnikov coming over from Russia will do. But if you look at what the Penguins lost, they subtracted a lot of guys. Brandon Sutter, Paul Martin, that's going to hurt them. Daniel Winnick, Steve Downey, Thomas Greiss, Craig Adams, Max Lapierre, Blake Como, Nick Spaulding, Kasperi Kapanen, and Scott Harrington. Now, some of those guys are prospects, but they were really good prospects, and Paul Martin signing with San Jose is really going to hurt the Penguins because now they have a younger defense. Scott Harrington isn't there anymore to be one of their defensive prospects, so that's a big question for Pittsburgh. My opinion, yes, they do get into the playoffs. They are a contender to win the division, but I see them finishing second in the division at best, more like third like they did last year, or fourth. And I know, on paper they look good, and that might be hard for some people to understand, but I don't see them winning the division. I just don't. Because after their two top lines, who do they really have? And I still have questions about their goaltending. Moving on to the Washington Capitals. They were 45, 26, and 11 last year. Good enough for second in the division. They added some key players. Three-time Stanley Cup champion and my buddy Justin Williams. He's from my hometown. And this makes me definitely a Capitals fan now. TJ Oshie they added as well. Backup goalie Dan Ellis, and depth defenseman Tyler Chorney. Now they did lose some players. Joel Ward, Mike Green, Troy Brouwer, Eric Fehr, and Curtis Glencross are all gone. But when you look at Washington's defense, their top four defense specifically, Matt Niskanen, Brooks Orpik, Carl Osner, and John Carlson. That's some of the best top four defensemen in the division and in the conference. So, they're going to be all right. And their top two lines, you're looking at a top line of Alex Ovechkin, Nick Backstrom, TJ Oshie. That'll probably put a second line together of Evgeny Kuznetsov, Justin Williams, and Andrei Burakovsky, and then Marcus Johansson could either be their second line center probably their third line center now. But I mean, they are not hurting in terms of offense and defense. They've got Braden Holtby. I see the Capitals really, hopefully taking the next step this year, even though they lost in the second round last year. Because of the pieces they've added, I see the Capitals are my favorite to finish first in the division and make it to the at least the conference final, beating out Pittsburgh possibly, and that's what I mean by taking the next step. I mean, don't get me wrong, Pittsburgh is going to be a very good team in the regular season, but I question whether they're going to be able to keep up with the physical play in the postseason. And, you know, the Capitals, the reason why I think they're going to be so good is because come playoff time, they have a tougher team compared to a lot of teams in the conference and in this division. So I'm picking Washington to win the division and make it to at least the conference final, if not the cup final. They are one of my Stanley Cup favorites. Moving on to the New York Rangers. They were first in the division last season. They really didn't lose anybody, which is key. They really kept their core group together. They added Jared Stahl and Antti Raanta. The only person they really lost was Carl Hagelin, and he will, they will miss him on the penalty kill. They'll miss his speed. He did have a bit of a scoring touch, but that's just basically losing some depth. And Martin St. Louis retired, but he was getting old, so they really didn't lose a whole lot of guys. And Jared Stoll is a good face-off guy, so they'll be all right. They've got a solid backup in Raanta. They've got some of the deepest defense in the league. Dan Girardi, Ryan McDonough. I can't remember all their defense, but I've looked at them on paper, and they are very deep. Don't believe me? Go to their website and check it out. My question is, even with their defense and their goaltending, we know is proven, what kind of a season will Rick Nash have? Are they still going to feel the effect of losing Brandon Dubinsky last season? So will that translate into a lack of scoring? They're still going to be a big, tough physical team, and I don't think they'll have a problem making it into the playoffs. I could see them definitely second in the division behind the Capitals, and then Pittsburgh in third, because they are going to give those two top teams a run for their money. But I don't see them winning the division this year, because all the teams, at least 4 teams have gotten better, or stayed as good as they were. So the Rangers, I'm saying, best case scenario, second in the division, probably third though. I think they're definitely a shoo-in for third in the division at the bare minimum. Let's move on to the New York Islanders. They were third in the division last year. They've got a new arena in Brooklyn, playing at the Barclays Center now. They moved from Long Island. I wonder how that's going to affect their fans. No real change to their team at all. Their core group of young players is still together. They beat Washington last year, which was a huge accomplishment. But even though they've kept their team together, my question for the Islanders is, they've got a good defense, they've got above average goaltending, but really did they do enough to stay as good as they were last year, and will they be that good this season? Considering everybody, Pittsburgh, Washington, the Rangers, Columbus have all gotten better. So the Islanders, to me, are probably third in the division at best. More of a wild card team coming out of the Eastern Conference, in that 4th or 5th spot. And they could probably get into the wild card ahead of teams like Boston, Ottawa, Florida, teams like that. So they will, in my opinion, they will make the playoffs. Let's move on to Columbus. They were 42, 35, and 5 last season. Good enough for 5th in the division. Now they had a lot of injury problems, but they added Brandon Saad, who is a 2-time Stanley Cup winner. They added Gregory Campbell as well. They lost Mark Letestu, and they traded away Archer Manisimov for Brandon Saad to Chicago. If they stay healthy, there's no doubt in my mind that they improve. They could be like the Islanders, the other wildcard team, but because there is 5 teams projected to come out of the Metro Division, but I don't know. I mean, to me, the Florida Panthers are better than them. Ottawa could be just as good, if not better. It's Columbus is a bubble team to me, and that's just my honest opinion. It's not that they're not good, but it all depends if they stay healthy and if they can improve on last year. I could see them definitely getting about 50 wins, and if they're able to do that, then they're definitely a playoff team. Let's move on to Philadelphia. They were pretty bad last year. They were 33, 31, and 18. That was 12th in the conference. They added Sam Gagner, Tim Brent, Jason LaBarbera, Michael Neuwirth, and drafted Ivan Provorov. They got rid of Ray Emery, Nick Grossman, Blair Jones, and Carlo Koliakovo. Now, the Flyers still have some really good players in Claude Giroux, Jakub Voracek, Wayne Simmons, Sean Couturier, Braden Shen. All those guys will be good. They have some really young prospect defensemen. Best case scenario for Philly, they get better if they have a better start, because they have a new coach and they're changing the culture there slowly. But I really don't see the Philly making the playoffs. Now let's move on to New Jersey. New Jersey was not much better than Philly. 32, 36, and 14. Good enough for 7th in the division. They also have a new coach, and Ray Shero is their new GM. They added Kyle Palmieri, John Moore, Jan Denis, and they drafted Pavel Zacha, was their first round draft pick this year. They got rid of a lot of guys. Martin Havlat, Scott Gomez, Bryce Salvador, Michael Ryder, Steve Bernier. Dinah Suber is retired, and they also got rid of Scott Clemenson. Now, their goaltending in their number one, Corey Snyder, is considered to be above average. But they're going to have a very young, inexperienced defense, and even with Kyle Palmieri, they really don't have a very good top line. Even their top 6 is going to really struggle to score goals. New Jersey has always struggled to score, never been a high-scoring team, even when they were really good like 10, 12 years ago. I don't see them making the playoffs, and I really see them staying in that 6th or 7th position and not really improving that much. They might surprise me, but I doubt it. And finally, let's talk about Carolina. Carolina was last in the division, 30, 41, and 17. But they did add some key pieces. James Wisniewski to their defense. Eddie Lack to back up Cam Ward, who's in the last year of his contract. TJ Hensink, who I've never really heard of him. I don't know whether he's a prospect from another team or one of their prospects, but he's there, and they drafted Noah Hannafin. Carolina is moving in the right direction, and they got rid of Alexander Semin and Anton Hudobin, but I don't see them really making it into the playoffs. They could get in. The best I see them doing is maybe 5th or 6th in the division, but not much better than that. And I think they will miss out on the wild card and definitely a divisional playoff spot. So just to recap a little bit: Philadelphia, New Jersey, Carolina, all those teams are developing teams. They will be better if they keep moving in the right direction, but for now, none of them make the playoffs. That's pretty much all I have for right now, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you stayed with me right to the end. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Please remember to give this video a like and subscribe. My social media links will be in the description down below. I post my videos there, so you can check both of those out. And stay tuned for part 3 of my NHL season preview. Will be the Central Division in the next couple days. So I'll see you next time.